Okay, doing this video tonight. This is Debbie Davis, and I am doing a video tonight regarding kind of a follow-up of a situation that happened to me where I was in when I was in Idaho, where I did a video a few months back where I was assaulted basically by a police officer there when I was just coming out of the Idaho State Fair, and his name is Officer Kyle Pentrack, number 604. And so I had posted this video a few months back where I was trying to get the information from the chief of police about why I was even pulled over, and trying to request the video footage. And I still to this day have, they've been denying me the footage and the reason why I was arrested that day in Idaho. You know, I'd just been kind of laying low there. I wasn't even there that long, and I was just coming out of the state fair when this happened. So anyway, so I have some people with me here today that saw that video that were also victims of the same police officer, and they sent me this video, and I couldn't believe it, and we're gonna play that tonight. But so you know, obviously Trump has signed this police reform act, so hopefully this will address some of these issues with the police. But when I was talking just a couple of videos, I was explaining how I'd been hearing from some targeted individuals and some whistleblowers and stuff, and I was trying to get you know, some help for them, like a fund and stuff like that. So these are the type of people I've been hearing from, is what I was talking about. But we're also kind of, it's a little bit deeper. Like what we're finding out is that there, you know, some people are targeted for just being Christians, you know, and things like that too. So what we're finding, you know, like, you know, yeah, I mean, this is where my loyalty is, you know, the Bible and President Trump, you know. So I'm obviously, you know, I'm being targeted for various different reasons, but I think it's even deeper than that. Is what we're finding out is that, you know, it might be issues within the bloodline, is what we're starting to find out, which we'll talk about. But so basically, they sent me this video, and it just gets completely out of line really fast. And it just kind of, if you've never been assaulted by a police officer, it's just, you know, it's just scary when how quickly it can get out of line, and scary. And so, but then when I was talking to Jamie, I was saying, well, how did this get to, you know, how did this start? And come to find out that it had started her years ago. So do you want to explain how it started many years ago? And
it started when I was 15, when a social worker, Aaliyah Kazara, sent me, with the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, sent me to to this group home, Challenge Group Home in Eagle, Idaho. And then rape happened to me also, along with other victims.
They were being raped, and so then you were asked to testify a couple of years later.
Yes,
by a detective.
when I turned 18, I was asked by a Boise detective to testify, and I also testified against this staff from Challenge Group Home. But I also had a lawsuit against the state, not realizing it was against the state, because I thought it was against the group home. Mm-hmm. So I had a lawsuit against the state, and I won.
And then targeting
me
like
all
the whole
these
rest
years,
of their life.
And I didn't find out until 2018 that the state of Idaho had been targeting me for years.
So then, like within the last 5 months, you started figuring out more fraud and different things like that, and then you got targeted even more.
Within the last 5 months, or within the last couple of years, because I known about their major fraud to the nation, mm-hmm. and other corruption, they tried to kill my husband and myself by using Officer Kyle Pentrack.
Yeah. So I don't know. So we won't get into that too much, but basically, I said Simon. So Simon got assaulted pretty much, and they both did. But it started out. So Simon said that he had been pulled over by the same police officer, because they've been married 3 years now, and then he started getting targeted, and then he said he'd been pulled over. This was the third time by the same police officer in Blackfoot, Idaho.
Yes.
And the first one was just like a speeding ticket, and then the second one was a they said no front plate, and it was the same officer, and then he said, well, okay, that's no big deal. It just gave you like a warning. And then he asked you but then he was asking you for where do you live and weird questions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then you got pulled over the third time, and that's when this happened, and you were totally assaulted.
Yeah.
And you were like, why are you pulling me over for the third time, the second time for the same thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna play the video tonight here now, so you can see how out of line this got. And this is just, I just do these videos so I can so people can see some of the things and some of the people I'm hearing from. And so hopefully, okay, this is the dash cam. Hopefully you can see this. But what we're also finding is that is about the bloodline, is that it seems like certain people that are targeted seem to be in a certain bloodline, which what we're finding out is on Ancestry.com that if you go into certain DNA bloodlines, that you're finding out that you're related to some of the other people.
Yeah.
That
even people that were involved in police brutality in general, like Rodney King. And I'm finding out
we went on to Ancestry.com and the DNA, and we're coming to find out that we're related to some of the other
guy. We're related to that Floyd guy. And
it's a DNA thing.
This video, they need to know that the middle part was cut.
Yeah, the most brutal part was cut. So Simon's being pulled over for like the third time. He has no idea, okay, what's going on, and he's not trying to resist anything. He just doesn't understand why he was pulled over for like the third time by the same police officer. And this guy, he's real scary. This guy, he was the same one who assaulted me. In Idaho with me. I was just pulled over coming out of the state fair, and he said I was driving erratically, which wasn't true at all. And he said that I have a warrant, and I said, no, I don't have any kind of warrant. I've only been here a short time. And I said, and then I got on the phone with 911, and this same officer, he proceeded to, I rolled up my window, and my driver's window, and then he opened up my left driver's back door, and he proceeded to grab the phone out of my hand as I was dialing 911, and he grabbed me by the hair out of the car, and basically assaulted me. So he's just one of these police officers that, and I still have no idea. I didn't have a warrant. I still have no idea why I was even arrested that day. And then he's just completely out of line. So anyway, pretty soon here it'll get, here he is pointing a weapon at him. Oh no, not yet. But it just gets completely out of line really fast. So you can see what it's like sometimes being this targeted individual. So what I think, and this includes President Trump, I think what they're targeting, anybody that's going after certain individuals, are targeting like Christ consciousness. Christ-centered people. The DNA.
Christ DNA.
Yeah, it has to do with your bloodline. It's the Christ consciousness DNA. So we were talking to my friend Penny, and she said, well, it has everything to do with your bloodline. Why certain people are targeted. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you're of Christ consciousness. Your Christ consciousness, it's in your DNA. So anyway, you can see here that this should have just been a minor traffic citation where no front plate, and then this is how out of line it got, and they both ended up getting assault charges. She was just trying to protect him, and then she got assaulted by this police officer, and just trying to protect her husband because he was so violent. There's some part of the video that they don't even show of how violent it got, so that they've taken out apparently. So So anyway, they're both, and then he points a weapon at him, you know. So anyway, these guys just wanted to share their video tonight, and they're trying to address this situation with the state, and as to, you know, why this particular officer is so abusive, and why he's also been doing this to multiple other people.
And I've also
and we're finding, you know, and they're all within the DNA of the Ancestry.com. We're finding out Ancestry.com, as far as our lineage. She's related to some of the other people that this guy is targeting.
We're related to.
Yeah. So, because I have been hearing from other people that have been writing into me that, you know, Debbie, why do you think they're targeting certain people? Because I'm also a targeted individual. Like, you know, it's kind of hard to explain, because it's like, you know, I think I've been even targeted even prior to me being a whistleblower. You know, I think I've been targeted prior to that, you know, in various different ways. And I'm Irish, and they seem to target the Irish, and then they also seem to target Native American, blacks.
African American.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem to matter, like, okay, are you a whistleblower, or did you expose fraud? And then I've talked to some people, and they said, no, I wasn't involved in anything like that, you know, or I don't know why I'm being targeted. So what I think, including President Trump, he's being targeted, you know, because they're after, I think, certain bloodlines.
And they keep the Luciferian agenda.
Yeah. It's all about the Christ consciousness. So if you're a targeted person like us, you'll understand this. I believe, you know, we can't prove this, but what we're finding, because we went on to Ancestry.com, is that it seems to be like they're targeting, like they want to wipe out the Christ consciousness bloodline. So it's like, you know, they're trying to wipe out the Christ, because apparently it's in your DNA, the Christ consciousness. So, you know, people, wake up. This is what it's all about. It's a holy war. It's a holy war, and Trump is trying to fight this holy war. It's a spiritual war. I mean, it's not politics anymore. It's a holy war. They want to wipe out the Christ consciousness race. I mean, this is what we're finding out. This is huge, because we're doing all this research now. And it's like in our lineage was even Rodney King, and Floyd. Like, I mean, so we're doing some research on Ancestry.com, and you might want to do that yourself. And you went into the DNA part.
And another interesting thing I found on Ancestry.com, we're also related to Billy Graham. We're related to Billy Graham, and I found out I was related to the Idaho Falls pastor when I was going to church.
Okay.
Steve.
Well, we don't have to go into everybody, but I mean, but it seems like it's all in the bloodline, something in the bloodline. Yeah. So anyway, this might help explain why certain people are targeted, and also help explain, you know, why this is so important, why this election is so important, why it's so important that people understand the stakes that we're at. You know, I only bring up things that I think are truths and different things like that, and things that not everything is perfect right now. You know, everything is not perfect. The only reason why I bring it up is because there's issues that with this deep state that I'm trying to explain. So that's the only reason why I've brought up certain issues, is that I'm trying to explain that, like, how deep the swamp goes. And when I have been mentioning certain things, that's all about the deep state swamp that needs to be drained, that's been there for like years, that Trump is trying to clean up, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to do this video tonight to explain that. I think that's really interesting. Hopefully that helps people understand that are also targeted people. Okay. Good night.